in studio with us is, of course, a very, very special guest, Dr. Anthony Montero, organizer of the Year of Du Bois initiative. He'll join us to read classic literature from the renowned scholar W.E.B. Du Bois. And, of course, in studio, joining us all morning has been Andrea Lawful Sanders, author of the new book, A Lawful Truth. Find out more about this book at alawfultruth.com. Doc, good morning, sir.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm good, man. People have been missing you.
Yeah. Well, we had that storm last week,
Yes.
and no one could make it in, but I'm really excited to be back.
Absolutely.
This is a high point in my week to be here.
Man, I'm glad to hear that.
Me.
Andrea, so Doc joins us. Doc is a PhD and a renowned W.E.B. Du Bois scholar, and he joins us every Wednesday in this hour to read literature from W.E.B. Du Bois. And so you get the range of stuff, right? You get our 719 Ratchet shout-outs, and then at 9 o'clock.
Ratchet. I was shocked.
I mean, what does ratchet mean?
Wretched. It was wretched.
Oh, wretched.
So, Doc, what are we going to be reading today?
Well, we're going to read from Du Bois's, what he considered his great work, or one of his greatest works, Black Reconstruction in America, where he literally rewrites the history of the United States from the standpoint of the African slave, what he called the black worker. And, it's a great discovery in social science and in historical writing of the black worker because, conceptually, when thinkers and writers and analysts had talked about working people, they usually were talking about white workers. And even up till today, when people talk about the working class, the stable middle class, they're really picturing a white person.
Right.
And we are usually consigned to either the, quote, slave or the underclass or the poor. And what Du Bois does is say that the driving force and the critical force in American history was what he called the black worker. So in this book, Black Reconstruction in America, the first chapter is this extraordinary chapter entitled The Black Worker. But before he can analyze the black worker, he has to define who the black worker is in terms of cultural and civilizational terms. So I just wanted to read a part of that, if you will allow me. And Du Bois says, in origin, the slaves represented everything African, although most of them originated on or near the West Coast. Yet among them appeared the great Bantu tribes from Sierra Leone to South Africa, the Sudanese straight across the center of the continent, from the Atlantic to the valley of the Nile, the Nilotic Negroes of the black and brown Hamites, allied with Egypt, the tribes of the Great Lakes, the Pygmies and the Hottentots, and in addition to these, distinct traces of both Berber and Arab blood. There is no doubt of the presence of all of these various elements in the mass of 10 million or more Negroes transported from Africa to the various Americas from the 15th to the 19th century. Most of them that came to the continent went through West Indian tutelage and thus finally appeared in the United States. They brought with them their religion and rhythmic song and some traces of their art and tribal customs. And after a lapse of 2½ centuries, the Negroes became a settled working population, speaking English or French, professing Christianity, and used principally in agricultural toil. Moreover, they so mingled their blood with white and red America that today less than 25% of Negro Americans are of unmixed African descent. And I like to just stop there and underline, I think, what is one of the fundamental concepts, this idea that the African American is everything African, that we are an amalgamation of many Africans, many cultures, many tribal groups, many nations and civilizations from Africa. And I think that's what really explains the uniqueness of the African in America, this amalgamation. And I think that if you think about our music, if you think about our art, if you think about our political thinking, our religious practices, you see traces of that everything African. And I know it is popular and common these days to say we are an African people, but I think seldom has it been said that we are everything African. But along with that, he mentions Arab and Berber blood in the original Africans that were brought here, but then he says that only 25% of us remain unmixed Africans, that we are mixed with white and Native American blood. So we are a very, very unique people from the standpoint of the mixtures that constitute us both in the African sense and in the non-African sense, but very, very unique in how we are positioned in the economy and politics of the United States as a working class people. And that has been a common thread from the time of enslavement up till today. So if we talk about our history, our ancestry in this country, for example, we have to say what is common throughout these 400 years is this working class character. You know, I spoke at Camden City Council yesterday about the Year of Du Bois because in Camden they passed a resolution like the one passed here by the City Council declaring 2018 the Year of Du Bois and so on and so forth. So I spoke there, and you know, Camden is one of those very impoverished cities, which was once a very industrial and prosperous city, but it is black and brown, black and Puerto Rican. And what is so interesting is that it is a proud working class population, and they are in essence what Du Bois described in their black and brown appearance.
It's interesting.
They are everything African in Camden.
It's interesting that black people have somehow gotten this narrative of being lazy when the reality is of the African American experience in America, or I should say black people in America, their context has always been work.
Yeah.
Either free labor, exploitive labor, forced labor, or labor that they choose to do. It's always been work, though.
And that's Du Bois, that the history of Afro-America is a history of a working class. And we seldom think of it that way. And we, in not thinking of it that way, have kind of compromised to a white narrative about who we are. We're both African and working class. And our music manifests it. Our art manifests that. This is the art and music of a working class people who are exploited either, as you say, as free labor or in the factories and mines and in the hospitals and universities. We remain an exploited people. When you imprison black people in the numbers that we are in prison, it's not just imprisoning black people. As such, we are imprisoning black working people because they're no longer needed. When we don't educate black children, we're literally saying that we do not need the labor of black people in the future. When we impoverish the black community, it is the impoverishment of the working class among black people. The point being, and I'll end on this, the point being that the solutions in this day and age to the problems that black people face are solutions that have to be rooted in the working class itself. Health care, universal health care, the redistribution of wealth, the funding of education, the creation of housing that is affordable for people. Gentrification in Philadelphia is an attack upon black working people. So Du Bois, in Black Reconstruction in America, and especially in this first chapter, opens up a vista, an avenue, a lens to understand who we are and the crises that we face.
Can I add to that?
Sure.
So let me say this to you. Thank you. Chris, if you...
They got to be able to hear you.
Listen. So I was born and raised in Jamaica.
Yes.
A part of who we are came from the Maroons and the Arawak Indians, right? So I hear you completely. What I'm finding here in America is that they're not only enslaving our bodies, they want to enslave our minds through the narrative that they send us, because here's the truth. We are a brilliant people. We are co-opted, right, for the things that we say and do. They'll laugh and talk about us when we come up with something, and then all of a sudden they're using it. You know, our Bantu knots, which we call Chinese bumps in Jamaica, and I'll call something else, you know, because somebody else is wearing it, you know. They've constantly co-opted us because we think things through. We're able to create and build in a way that any other culture has not been able to do so quite so well.
Question.
So it's not just the working class, it's the working class with the brilliance attached to it, right?
Absolutely.
And so they'll tell us, you know, they'll watch what we do, take what we do, and then tell us we're no good. You know, you can't pass such and such a class. How many children do you know barely made it through high school that went on to become PhDs in colleges? Because someone finally mentored them and say, you have it up here, you can absolutely do it. But when you're spending all that time in school and told you're too slow, you're supposed to be in the slow class, they're deliberate attempts to keep us from being where we're supposed to be because they know just how brilliant we are.
And there's no question about it. And, you know, that's very, and I agree with you, it's very connected to the diminishment of black labor.
Yeah.
So that, you know, if you're not, quote, educated, that means that I can give you a job making $10 an hour where a white man is making $30 an hour. You go all around this city, and if you see a place of work that is majority black, you know they're working at poverty wages. You look at these construction sites with all white labor, you know they're making 3 and 4 times as much an hour as black workers in a cozy or a Starbucks right across the street. So all of these stereotypes of black labor is for the purpose of maintaining black labor at the cheapest and lowest level possible. And when you don't need them, it becomes a justification for imprisoning them, for policing them, for killing them, and for gentrifying them out of their neighborhoods.
Which is
all
why
about economics.
Which is why I tell people of color all the time, be an entrepreneur.
Well, I tell people all the time, become an entrepreneur if that's what you want to do.
Right.
The other thing is organize.
You got to be educated and you got to have the funds for
Well,
that.
you have to be politically educated,
Yeah.
and you have to be organized, and you have to understand that the fate of you is not separated from the fate of others like you. And if you are, and this is what we need more than ever, a consciousness as a people of what is the foundation and source of our oppression. And what Du Bois says, it is rooted in this long history of the exploitation and super exploitation of black labor.
Well, I know we're going to go to break. We're going to come back. The phone lines will be open if you want to talk to Doc and respond to the reading. 215-634-8065 and toll free 1-866-361-0900. Brother Timothy, of course, we see you on the line. We knew he was calling. And we'll get to you right back on the other side. I'm Flood the Drummer in studio with Kawesa Mathis, Ike Raw, Dr. Tony Montero, and Andrew Lawful Sanders. The list just keeps growing. We'll be back right after this.
Attention WURD audience, do you know that PICO can provide you with more information about your energy usage through their smart meter program? The new smart meter, also known as electric meters, and the PICO interactive website helps to give you more information on understanding how to best use energy and how to save energy and money. Smart meters also provide quick support to local fire departments and other officials during an emergency. And you can get faster, more convenient service when moving out of your home or into a new home. Smart meters can also identify identify potentially dangerous situations like tampered meters and reroute power to restore faster service in the event of an outage. Visit pico.com and search smart meters to learn more about signing up to save energy and money. Pico, powering our communities. Anita T. Connor and Associates, home of the Tax Divas, is Philadelphia's prominent African-American-owned and family-operated accounting, tax, and consulting firm. Servicing the community for over 30 years, the staff at Anita T. Connors and Associates is credentialed, certified, and professionally trained. Need help? Call 215-782-8833 today. That's 215-782-8833. Or visit Anita T. Connor and Associates, home of the Tax Divas website at taxdivas.net. That's taxdivas.net.
The Lounge with Keith Nichols.
April Rain, you have done masterfully is frame your message to an audience that hears you. I just wanted to applaud that.
Anyone can make a difference. People understand what I'm trying to say and really believe in the message of making entertainment more inclusive for everyone involved. Not just race, not just sexual orientation, but also gender and disability and indigenous people, everyone who is a part of a marginalized community.
Don't miss The Lounge, weekdays 7 p.m. till 10 p.m. right here on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media. You're listening to Wake Up with WURD on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Children of nature, from another culture, and living in the light, stolen from the center of the world, timely departure, somehow survive. Living in the light. Oh, have to survive living in the light. Have to stay alive living in the light. Have to survive living in the light. Music of culture. Oh, the sound of streets of band. Knew you had to survive living in the light. Beautiful yet scattered, through it all, your spirit never shattered. Meant to stay alive, living in the light. Oh, living in the light. Make sure have to stay alive, living in the light. Oh, survive, survive, living in the light. With a light so bright, yeah. Survive, living in the light. Have to stay alive, living in the light.
In celebration of Women's History Month, tune in today, Wednesday at noon, for a special presentation of Black Women Lead, a conversation in partnership with Higher Heights for America, D.P. Bell Associates, and New Voices for Reproductive Justice. The broadcast features a panel of powerful voices exploring the critical role of Black women's leadership, especially as we approach the upcoming and very important midterm elections. Tune into WURD today from 12 noon until 1 p.m. at 900 a.m. and 96.1 FM. Check it out on our smartphone app or live stream on wordradio.com. This Women's History Month special presentation is proudly sponsored by Pico, Comcast, and Keystone First.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Wake Up with WURD. It's 9:46. In the studio with us is Dr. Tony Montero, organizer of the Year of Du Bois initiative. I'm Andrea Lawful Sanders, author of the new book, A Lawful Truth, a Book of Affirmations, and we have a full guest on the phone line, so let's go right to them. Brother Timothy, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Ms. Sanders, I love your reading. I was willing to get your book and read it more.
Oh, thank
Dr.
you,
Montero,
sir.
Sure, Dr. Montero, you did a very good job with your reading, and Ike, and Coesa, and flood. Dr. Montero, one of my favorite books that was co-authored by Booker T. Washington and Du Bois was called The Negro in the South. And very early in the chapter, Booker T. Washington described the survival skills of the African of that time. He didn't appreciate his method, but it kept him from being killed and annihilated like the European would after the Indian. The next chapter is Dr. Du Bois does a very good job, Dr. Montero, in talking about how cooperatively the African at that time took up the trade as a barber and a caterer. And he said with that skill, he was able to coexist in his community, buy real estate, invest in it, and was able to send the next generation to the colleges and various universities. This takes me to the embassy that approaches Dr. Booker T. Washington. And a German embassy approaches him because they want him to go to Africa and help them with a crop called cotton. So he brings about this expedition. He takes about a couple Fisk graduates and some Tuskegee graduates, and they go over the mechanics and the engineering, but some of the knowledge of carbon, some of the scientists were there at that time, and they flourish with this colony over in Germany. At that time, Marcus Garvey is looking at what's going on. He corresponds with Booker T. Washington, and from that model, Garvey is looking at that, and he's saying that it's possible for me to go to Liberia with the knowledge of the Washington machine, which was the strongest machine at that time, and assist with this. My thing is that he was correct, and he saw where Prince Hall started and wanted to do the journey. Paul Cuffey was successful in the journey, and of course, Marcus Garvey wanted to pick it right back up and do it. Of course, war breaks out, unfortunately, in Atlantic, so that slows down the process. But the model was good. Same thing with, if you ever read the book by Cedric Robinson, he has a book out called The Anthology of Black Marxism. And that model was good. As I remember, a leading scholar debated Stokely Carmichael, and he told them socialism existed before the 13 colonies, and it worked. My thing is that how do we coexist with the European in all these models? See, we're interrupted, we're stopped, we're oppressed, but those models that those men left us was something for us, a paradigm for us to take it in the future. The rhino can't even coexist with the European. So how do we do this? Which way do we go? Because we need these men and their ideas to go forward.
Right. Well, thank
you so much for your call, Brother Timothy.
I learned a lot from you, Timothy. A lot of that I didn't know. But just to your question of coexistence, and it was a central question for Booker T. Washington, coexistence with the people who were oppressing you. But ultimately, I think that it's not a matter of so much coexistence as it is a matter of freedom and liberation. And I think the long-term strategy has to be that, although I agree with you and Booker Washington that the short-term strategy must be survival, but in pursuing the short-term strategy, we cannot take our eye off the prize of complete freedom and liberation. So thanks a lot for the information.
Absolutely. Cliff from Connecticut, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Let's take my call. I was so inspired and enlightened by all your guests and their subject matter, and it speaks to the point of black empowerment and black elevation. And so also included with that is the same thing that Minister Louis Farrakhan speaks of. So my point is, why is being pro-black misconstrued and sometimes demonized as being racist? I don't understand that. And why are white people embracing that and changing the narrative? And then even more importantly, why do black accept that as us being racist because we're pro-black? And I'll hang up and listen to your response.
Thank you very much for your call. That last point was even he said, shout out to Ike.
Shout out to you, Cliff. That's my guy. Right?
He said that last point is true. I forgot who I was listening to. Maybe it was the Breakfast Club. I think Charlamagne the God was saying it, and then he was like, why is it a bad thing when black people want to take care of other black people? When we say, yeah, no, this is for us. I'm doing this for I'm looking out for us. Right? We get maligned. White people, when the Italians down South Philly looking out for other Italians, that's what they're supposed to do. When the immigrant community is looking out for the other immigrants, that's what they're supposed to do. But when we do it, it's a problem.
Well, because the American society is divided between black and white. That's the principal division. Mm-hmm. And white power is predicated upon black oppression. So anything that has to do with the freedom and uplift of black people is always seen as threatening to white power. And I think that's what it is. I mean, and the question is who is spinning it, who is narrating it. Right. I think part of self-determination is our intellectual and ideological self-determination. Mm-hmm. And on those matters, we don't need to compromise with anyone. Our freedom is first and primary.
So I'm talking about the black people, too, that, look at blacks as they, they're not supposed to look out for blacks as well.
Right.
So how do you deal with that?
Yeah, well, you deal with it by organizing and opposing it and speaking out against it. Mm-hmm. Part of our problem is that too many of us are silent in the face of oppression. And we have to find the strength and the language and the commitment to oppose what is wrong.
Stop just posting about it on social media.
Well, true that.
Yeah, true that. Mo from North Philly, your last call in this segment this morning.
So funny?
Because I never hear you say that. You're like, true that.
That's what the kids say, Doc.
That's what the kids say. You all PhD'd and everything. Think about true that. Good morning, Mo.
Yeah, good morning, peace. How you doing, brother?
Good morning, we're good.
Hey, Mo.
Yeah. The way some of the readings you were saying, it sounded like he was a Pan-African and started the need for unity amongst our people, not only here in America, but throughout the Caribbean and the continent. And I never heard, this is the first time I ever heard that, what you read today. And I want to ask you something, too. This dope thing, right? I remember back in 65, I used to play in the shooting gallery where they shot her when I was 8 years old, and my parents told me I couldn't hang it anymore. My friends lived in there. And they had this false incident that took place in Vietnam, this Gulf of Tonkin in 64, and said that the North Vietnamese Navy attacked them. And that was a lie, they didn't have no Navy. Johnson signed the paper, and in 65, the boots on the ground hit Vietnam. And from 65 to 74, they was bringing dope heroin out of Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam, known as the Golden Drug Triangle. Now, when they got kicked out of Vietnam, the heroin ceased, and then cocaine came in with the disco era. Now they're back in Afghanistan, and the dope is coming back. And the thing about it is that if we want to really protest against drugs, we need to go down to Langley, Virginia, and tell the CIA stop bringing it in. And then go over Rome and tell the Pope stop laundering the CIA drug money in the Vatican Bank. And they got the CIA documents. Now, the thing about it is, it's a con game because they're getting you hooked on the heroin. And then on the other end, they're taking your insurance money for you to get off of it. And they're keeping the people drugged down. And we're never going to get rid of it until we face who's really bringing this stuff in. Because the average black guy on the corner selling crack, he ain't got a canoe to bring a pack of crack from one side of the school to the other one. So who's bringing the dope in here, man? Right. Anytime a little child can tell you who's selling dope in here, don't you think Ross and these other cops know what they're doing? They turn it back on him, man. And I don't trust any of them. Look, just like with the police brutality. I'm telling you, we was back in this over 40 years protesting to get this stuff. And Negro sold us out. Right. We put them in all them Negro. They need to get City Hall a political douche and clean it all out. They got to go.
Did you just say a political douche?
Absolutely. Yes, Mo. Yes, Mo.
That's going to start trending on Twitter. Hashtag political douche. Hey, spring cleaning.
Yes.
Yeah, they're a bunch of house niggas. Excuse my language, but that's what they are. Boo licking, butt licking, butt house niggas. And they got, look at that damn congressional black caucus. It should be the congressional black circus because they're a bunch of damn punk ass clowns.
Exactly.
They got to go. They betrayed our people.
Yeah, exactly. I agree on 100%.
Thank you so much for your call, Mo.
Yeah, thank you, Mo.
Exactly about the Black Caucus.
He was great. Take it there, boy.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, man. That's what you need, man.
To Ike's point, before we go, Doc, do you, actually to both of you, do you find that you're disappointed in black people, particularly the Congressional Black Caucus's quickness to denounce Louis Farrakhan because white people asked them to, when black people can't get a Republican denounce Trump for anything he says?
Well, I think the answer is obvious, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is, and it raises the question, who is paying for the Congressional Black Caucus? And who are they actually beholden to? Is it black folk, or is it to the white establishment, the white institutions of power and finance? And I think it's obvious. And I understand, Mo, I understand, Ike, at some point, what is the language that we use to express the sense of betrayal?
Right.
And like Brother Mo said, he was in the street fighting to elect many of the people who are sitting in city council and the state house and the Congress back in the day. I mean, what has he gotten from it? Nothing. But what have they gotten?
A lot.
That's right. My point. And that is the frustration.
And they'll get more illegally. I mean, i.e. Theft Williams. Look at him.
Yeah.
Nominate him. Black man. Look at him.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Shaka Khan for top. Come on, man. We can go all down the line, man. Come on, man. Listen, you need new blood, man. In all the politics, man. You need new blood. These people too comfortable sitting in here with their spots. I mean, not just city council, but state reps, state senators, everybody, man.
But can I say this, though? All this talk about needing new blood, when the new blood shows up and says they want to do it, they're often pushed to the side and told it's not your turn or nobody knows you. So at what point do we start to look at values versus struggling for power and ego?
But that's what we're talking about. See, that's the thing, and it's a lot of. I mean, we ain't got enough time, but you know how Philadelphia is. A lot of rumors about certain politicians that take money and walk away. Like, I mean, let's get real with it. You know how it go. Like, come on, if you want to do something, you can do something. Put the fight in you, man. Come on, man. At the end of the day, nobody never gonna tell Ike Raw what he can't do.
And you know that's why, and I really appreciate this, allowing me to come on and read Du Bois.
Absolutely.
Once a week. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming in.
Man, it's nothing. I mean, but, you know, we read today from the book Black Reconstruction in America, Chapter 1, The Black Worker. So I just wanted to say that once again.
That's Dr. Anthony Montero, organizer of the Year of Du Bois initiative. I want to give a shout out to everybody who called in, came in, tweeted, and made today's show what it was. Shout out to Temple University journalism professor Lynn Washington, a noted historian who joined the show to discuss recent racial comments by a UPenn professor in the history of racism at the university's law school. Shout out to Andrea Lawful Sanders, who came in and hung out with us the whole show and discussed the inspiration behind her new book of affirmations, A Lawful Truth. You can check out the book at lawfultruth.com. Kwesi just got her own autographed copy. You can get one too if you go to the website. And of course, Dr. Anthony Montero, who joins us every Wednesday in the 9 o'clock hour to read classic literature from renowned scholar W.E.B. Du Bois. For Kwesi Mathis, Ike Raw, I'm Flood the Drummer. Until next time, I'm drumming for justice. Have a lovely day.